DraftKings Sportsbook is the best place to bet touchdowns. I have teamed up with DraftKings to bring you all your favorite ways to bet touchdowns as we start to wrap up this NFL season. New customers can turn $5 into $300 if your bet wins. Paid in bonus bets, the crown is yours. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use the code Sonnen, stay on the action, and use your bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. Love the thrill of live betting? Bet live on star player props and in-progress games right as they happen. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports and have the shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code SONNEN and bet just $5 on any wager and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. That's promo code SONNEN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. All right, guys, this is from Michael Bisping. Michael Bisping gets put in a tough spot being British, talking about a British fighter. Michael Bisping paved the way for all British fighters, so he's looked at in a certain way. He's looked at with a certain esteem. And I think it's difficult for him to go against his own countrymen, but this seemed very fair. This is Michael Bisping breaking down Justin Gaethje and Paddy the Baddy. Inside kicks, outside kicks, calf kicks, head kicks, you name it. That man throws them all with nasty intentions. So it's a very, very tough fight. When you look at Justin Gaethje, how he's been losing fights, well, they're the same. Submission, like by Khabib, or against Charles Oliveira, also a submission. There are little opportunities where maybe he makes a mistake and the other person is able to capitalize on it. I think in this fight, it's a dangerous matchup for Paddy Pimblett. But I also think it's one that he can win, particularly in the later rounds, like in the 5th round. Justin Gaethje can make little mistakes. He does have more experience, but he's maybe slowed down a little bit. This is Bisping talking. He's always very precise. Now Bisping's switched over to Paddy. He's always very precise. He does commit with every strike. And I do think that in the flurries, that is where Paddy is going to be able to catch Justin with something. Justin moves in a certain way. He leaves an opening for an underhook, for a foot sweep, something like that, where Paddy can take his back, where Paddy can find a triangle, whatever it is. Paddy is very creative. I've got Paddy Pimblett winning this fight by way of submission and becoming the interim champion of the world. You know, I get what Bisping's saying there. And that was chaotic. That was a chaotic way of saying it. Like he even coined a phrase when he said, Justin, after he lands punches, moves in a certain way. As an analyst, that isn't very descriptive. But I know what he means. I can see it in my head. I know that certain way. I know that plodding way that Justin moves. One thing that concerns me about Gaethje is that he's slow. And slow is just comparatively. He's slower than his opponents. He's slower than Charles. He's slower than Ilya. He's slower than Poirier. But I asked some of those opponents. I asked the Chandlers, and I asked the Poiriers, and I asked the Oliveiras, hey, is he slow? And they said no. They said, no, he's not fast. And I said, well, let me tell you somebody that looks fast, Max. So tell me, am I right? Is Max faster than Justin? Is Justin slow compared to Max? They're like, yes. Yes, he is. He makes up for it, though. They said one thing that the audience doesn't see is Justin's very good with the feints. And the whole time you're fighting Justin, whether he's feinting takedowns or not, you know he's thinking about a takedown because he can. And even though he's gone fight after fight, which has turned into years in the better part of his career, and he never uses his wrestling offensively, he used a lot of it defensively, just by example in the Michael Chandler fight. They said because he has the wrestling, they're constantly worried about it. And because they're constantly worried, it changes the calculations when they come in to attack him. They said there was a big thing that they all learned by watching Max fight Justin. Max did not go out there and just show better boxing than Gaethje. He showed that he was not afraid of the threat of the takedown by Gaethje. He was rolling the dice from the beginning. Because Gaethje in 10 years has not tried to take anyone down, I don't think I'm going to be the first that he tries. I think he's going to stand here, and for that reason, I'm going to open up and trade with him. This is what these guys said, and I think that they have the right to an opinion. I thought it was a good breakdown. It sounded like when I was reading Michael Bisping's words, he's not sure how Gaethje's going to do it. It sounds like he wants him to do it. It sounds like that countryman was coming through. But predicting that Gaethje loses to Paddy via triangle in the 5th round, I mean, wow. If you really believed that, my partners over at DraftKings make you a very happy man if you place that wager and that came through. And if you're hanging your hat on the argument that, hey, my guy's going to win, and he's going to win by a tricky submission in the championship rounds, even though he can't out-wrestle you and even though he can't outstrike you, it's an unusual argument. And you know what, guys? I accept the argument, and I basically have the same one. I also am leaning towards Paddy winning this fight, but I don't want to get stuck at this point in a follow-up question of how. Like, if Paddy gets on top of Justin, he's likely to spend some time there. One thing I thought that Chandler would do if he got on top of it is just get right back up. The number one thing you get as a collegiate wrestler that you get to take over to MMA, it's the reason that the American wrestlers historically have done so much better than the wrestlers from other countries. There's a rule, and it's unique to American wrestling. And it is not only required in the form of a stall call if you don't do it, but you are rewarded for getting up with a guy on top of you that wants to keep you down, turning around and facing him. It is the number one thing, MMA-wise, why American wrestling has done better than foreign wrestling, but Chandler didn't do that against Paddy. Maybe Paddy was too tight, maybe his leg ride was too good, maybe Chandler was worn down, maybe Chandler hadn't sharpened that skill recently enough. All of those things could be true for Justin, but it's hard for me to imagine that if Paddy gets him down, that he's going to be able to keep him there. Bisping's largely arguing with me and saying, yeah, he can't keep him there, but he doesn't have to keep him there because he's going to transition right into a submission. Hard game. Like that, if that's the most confident you are in a guy, you're not overly confident in a guy. I mean, my biggest takeaway from reading from Bisping, who's complete expert in this sport and really knows Paddy to Baddy on a level that we don't, is he's going to have to go out there and get lucky. He's going to have to go out there and make something happen. And Bisping believes that Paddy is the kind of competitor that can do that. He believes that Paddy is on the rise. He believes that Justin is on the decline, which is where opportunities like this do tend to present themselves. And I tend to see it the same way. Come hook or crook, one way or another. And I'm not talking about winning all the sequences. I'm not talking about winning the striking or the grappling. I'm not talking about winning round after round. I'm talking about winning one moment. One moment that you win so well that the other guy says surrender. And I'm with Bisping. I think the one between Paddy and Justin that's going to find that one moment is going to be Paddy.